Hello, it's Sunday, January 17th, and I want to welcome you to the second week of Elementary Astronomy Online. Hope you had a good week last week. Hope you got through the first module okay. And I had a great week last week because I went to a meeting of the American Astronomical Society on Zoom. And oh my gosh, it was just a great meeting. This is I've read in the newspaper, it's called the Super Bowl of Astronomy, but about 3,000 astronomers from all over the country and overseas gathered together, and we all learned what's going on in astronomy, what the latest discoveries are. And it was just really, really great. And so let me just talk about that just a little bit here. I want to show you the screen from the American Astronomical Society. As I said, it's a virtual meeting. And so you can go into the auditorium to hear talks. And there's a lot of sessions running in parallel. So at any given time, there might be 15 different talks on 15 different subjects you can choose from. You can go to an exhibit hall and see what's going on there, different exhibits from different organizations and different missions that are going on, space missions for orbiting observatories. There's just all sorts of stuff going on. But it's really cool because if you go to one of the talks, like I did, I went to, these are talks for Wednesday. And you can see that there it is, AAS 237, the 237th meeting of the American Astronomical Society. And here's some of the things that I learned about that day. Here's a talk on particles and fields in black hole environments. And so cool stuff about black holes. Down here, a new era of galactic dynamics in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is our galaxy, and that's it right back there over my shoulder in the sky. It's our galaxy. Here's another talk on the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. It's an orbiting spacecraft that will study the stars, and it's named after Vera Rubin, who was one of the discoverers and one of the people who really nailed down the existence of dark matter. And we'll learn about that later in the semester. But it was just a great meeting. I learned a lot. I'll look forward to sharing that to you, sharing some of that with you in the weeks to come. But I tell you, after 5 days of listening to astronomy talks from 9 in the morning until 5 at night, that can leave you pretty exhausted. So I'm happy to be here talking to you right now about our course. So what's in store for you in the second week? Well, in the second week, we're going to be learning about some of the history of astronomy. Astronomy has a very rich history. And, early people, ancient Greeks, even before that, all they could do was look up at the sky, like you see up there. And people wondered, what is this? What's going on up there? And pretty quickly, people figured out that although the pattern of stars that you see really doesn't change from night to night, the stars move much, the movement of the stars is really too small to be noticeable with the naked eye. We know that they do move now, but the constellations, the star patterns really don't change from our naked eye from night to night, with an exception. And that exception is for stars, quote unquote, not really stars, because they behave differently. And so the ancient people would watch those stars or those objects move across the sky. For instance, they would start over here, and they would start over here in the west. In this picture, you're facing south, so over on this side, it's the west. And then from night to night, those objects would move across the background stars. So one night it would be here, and then it would move to here, and then here, and here, and here, and here, moving from west to east across the sky. But then it would back up. Instead of going that way, it would change direction and move westward for a little bit from night to night. And then it would move eastward again. And this backward planets really just drove the Greek astronomers nuts. They could not figure it out what was going on. And in fact, they called these objects planets because planet comes from the Greek word for wanderer. And these planets were just wandering across the sky. So we're going to learn how people try to understand, why do planets move this way? Why are they different? And we'll talk about somebody named Ptolemy, who back in ancient Greece tried to understand how the planets move. Why would they move like that? And he came up with this elaborate system that you'll read about in the book. And it lasted for about 1,500 years. That was our view of the universe, or at least of the solar system. And it was completely wrong. Then along comes another person, Johannes Kepler, who figured out really how the planets move around the sun. And I admire Kepler just so much, because what he had on his desk was just these stacks of observations of the positions of the planets against the background stars from night to night to night to night. And he inherited these observations from another astronomer named Tycho Brahe. But from night to night to night, the planets moved across the sky. He had the records, and he used those records to figure out how the planets moved. And he described how planets move around our sun with 3 laws. And you'll read about those in this module for this week. It's just really cool. And I really got to tell you that a number of years ago, I was in Prague, and I went to a monastery on the outskirts of Prague. And that's where the records of Kepler and the other astronomer, Tycho Brahe, who made the records, that's where all that work was stored. And it was such a thrill to be there where Kepler actually did his work. And they even had one of Kepler's telescopes. And I mean, it was just out there in the open. It wasn't behind a glass case or anything. So I could actually look, through Kepler's telescope. And oh my gosh, there is, whatever Kepler would see looking through that same instrument. It was historic, and I just really loved it. So that was a big thrill for me. So we'll learn about, this week we'll learn about Ptolemy and Kepler and how the solar system is arranged. And it's just wonderful. But it's not all history. There's interesting things happening in the sky right now. And in fact, this week on Wednesday, on the 20th, that's when the moon is going to be at its first quarter phase. So the moon is half lit up. And I can show you that. I'm just going to go to Stellarium. So here's Stellarium. And right now, you're looking sort of southwest. So south is over here, and there's southwest. So looking southwest around 10 o'clock on the 20th, this is what you'll see in the sky. There's the moon, and you'll see it's half lit, half in darkness. And also, if you go to the right and above that, you'll see a bright red object, and that's Mars. So if you've never seen Mars in the sky, this is a good opportunity to see Mars. There's, of course, other things. Last week, I talked about this constellation right here, Orion, the Hunter Orion. Here's the 3 stars in Orion's belt. Here's Betelgeuse, the red giant star in Orion's shoulder. The bluish-white Rigel down here on one of Orion's knees. So there's Orion, my favorite constellation in the wintertime. Over here is Sirius, the brightest appearing star in the sky. And up here is another star, Aldebaran, and it too is a red star. And it is in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. So let me see if I can show you Taurus the Bull. And there it is. You can see the bull right there. Here is Aldebaran is one of the bull's eyes. And forming the face of Taurus, the bull, is a star cluster. And that star cluster is called the Pleiades. These stars are the Pleiades. And that's one of the star clusters you have to know for your constellation quiz at the end of the semester. The other star cluster you have to know is this one right here, this very close grouping of stars called the Pleiades, the seven sisters. And so if you just look at the moon, you go to the right and up a bit, you'll see Mars. If you go to the left a bit and up, you'll see the Pleiades. And to the left of that, you'll see Aldebaran and the Pleiades star cluster. So 2 star clusters. Now, I think I mentioned that it was a full moon, and the moon, I'm sorry, it was a first quarter moon. And here the moon looks like it's full, but if I zoom in on the moon, if I just zoom in, you can see that really is a half illuminated moon. So there's a lot to see in the sky. Again, I hope you enjoy learning about this interesting history and learning about how our solar system really works. Anytime you have questions, you can always email me, or I'll be happy to set up a Zoom meeting. We can just talk and you can ask me questions. But have a good week, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. So everybody take care, and I will see you next time. So till then, bye-bye.